we're live. Hello everyone, how are you doing? Happy Friday. Nellie here. I'm so delighted to be going live with you to talk about our Transition Tuesday pose of the week, which is Eye of the Needle. It's a reclined pose, a supine pose where we'll be lying to the earth and also opening up the hip. So I'm going to demonstrate the pose first, and then we'll talk about some of the ideas that came through. Let me get my notes in my phone here. Alrighty. Okay, so Eye of the Needle, you come down to your back, and it's an external rotation of your hips. So if I were to go this way, you can see I lift my foot up, I externally rotate my hip, not my knee. The rotation comes from the ball and socket joint, your hip joint, and then you place your ankle just above your other knee. Then from here, I mean, this is a great place to stay, so this could be a good modification to the pose. You lift your base foot up and you grab behind that thigh. So if I go back this way, you can see I grab here behind my thigh. And that is Eye of the Needle pose, and you just start to pull your legs closer to your chest so you're feeling a deeper stretch in your outer thigh, and then you can do it on the other side. So what are some things we can do before or after this pose? Iwa had a great suggestion. She said from this pose to roll up into fire log. So let me roll up. Here we go. And come into fire log, also known as double pigeon, and that's where you're just stacking ankle on top of knee, knee on top of ankle in this pose. And then what did she say to do next? Give me just a moment. So you rock up, and then Matsyasana and Janusarsasana. So you come into fire log here, and then she said to go into Lord of Fish pose. So I'm taking my foot, planting it to the earth, and twist this way for Matsyasana, and then Janusarsasana, so you could take your bottom leg, straighten it, and create a figure four, fold forward for Janusarsasana. So what a great sequence. Thank you, Iwa, for that one. Let's demonstrate it on the other side so we can just reinforce what we just learned. Okay, so we're here in Eye of the Needle pose, and we rock up. So probably a better way to rock up is to use your hands to come up. I'm going to tuck this ankle underneath my knee. This ankle comes on top of my knee. I fold forward for my fire log pose. Then I come up, plant my top foot to the earth, tuck the other one behind, twist for Lord of Fishes pose. There we go. There we go. And then she said to go into Janusarsasana. So I imagine, what did I do? Take top leg straight and fold forward into Janusarsasana. There we go. So awesome. Thank you, Iwa, for that. I loved it. Gosh, that felt so good on the hips. So if you were to spend, about a minute in each of those poses, it'd be really, really good for your hips. And Eve had a more challenging one where she had suggested taking this pose standing. So your one-legged chair pose here, and she said to full forward, plant your hands to the earth, and move into a flying pigeon pose. So let's see if I can get up today. Yep, there we go. And leg comes down. And then she said to lift up into hand to big toe pose. So lift here and extend straight. So yeah, you definitely have to really focus on your balance for that one. And maybe even come back and go for a twist. I don't know. There's so many things you could do from this pose. You could even just come to a mountain pose, or you could mindfully swing your leg back into a standing split and maybe take this through a vinyasa. All right, so let's do the other side just so I'm balanced. So I come into here, fold forward, hang out here, maybe plant my hands, lift up into a flying pigeon, come down, back to this position. These fingers grab big toe, lift up, straighten your leg. And from here, you can take a lot of different variations, maybe move into a standing split and vinyasa. So, awesome. That is so great. definitely something you could do in like a standing series for your class, or you could even make that like the most challenging part of your class. Okay, great suggestions. Those were the 2 that came in. If you have a suggestion, feel free to add it into the comments now, or go back to the Transition Tuesday post and add it there. All right, so here's some ideas that I came up with for Eye of the Needle. Really, when you're in any type of seated posture, you know, if you're just doing a forward folds or a Janushirasana, or maybe even like an Ardha Baddha, Paschimottanasana, you can just roll to your back and move into that pose. So you're here, and then you can just have your students just roll to their back, or you can make them more active and have them slowly roll down, plant feet to the earth, cross ankle above knee, and come into Eye of the Needle. And then you could roll up if you wanted to do the other side, or you could just move right into the opposite leg. So that's a suggestion for transitioning to that pose. Another one that I like to do at the beginning of class is I'll do crunches. So if you're here, you know, you have your leg crossed over, and you could do crunches or like a twisting crunch when you're here, and then after, you know, a few reps, you could come into Eye of the Needle pose here. And you could use this as your active rest, release, go to the opposite side, take your twisting crunches here, and then move into Eye of the Needle again as your active rest. So that could be a great suggestion for something you could do leading into Eye of the Needle. I have a lot of suggestions for the transitioning out of Eye of the Needle, which I'll demonstrate now. So if you're here in Eye of the Needle, one thing you could do from this pose is you could just straighten the leg, right? This is a great variation to the pose, also something you could transition into. You could even roll back into a plow pose with the legs like this. So you can roll back into plow, straighten through the bottom leg, and just kind of hang out here. So you're working your plow pose, but you're also opening through the hip with the bent leg. And then you could roll down, take it on the other side. So we're here, maybe we spend a few breaths in this position, then this position. Then you could give it as an optional roll back into your plow pose like this, and then slowly roll down. All right, another thing you can do from Eye of the Needle is a reclined twist. So if you're in this position, you could just have them take their top foot, maybe arms come out in a T, and lower their foot to the earth. And gaze in the opposite direction. And then you can come back up, release, take it on the other side. Maybe you take your Eye of the Needle here, and then you release, and then lower your foot down. And then you could even invite students to go a little deeper. So rather than just have the foot plant to the earth, maybe they cross over and take eagle legs and move into reclined twist here. So just some options to move deeper into the twist. Another suggestion you can do, let's see, what did I write down? Reclined knee pile. So you're here in Eye of the Needle pose. You could cross knee on top of knee, reach up. Maybe you just grab your shins and start to pull your feet out to the side, then towards your shoulders. Because a lot of times in this pose, people will go like this. They'll just scrunch their heels down towards their hips, but really you want to lift up and then pull down, because you're really going to feel a deeper stretch that way. And then release, you could take Eye of the Needle on the other side here. So this could be a good preparatory pose for your reclined knee pile. Cross knee on top of knee. Maybe you grab the shins or the feet. Make sure your feet are active, because a lot of times people will get a little lazy in their feet and they'll let their ankles roll, and we don't want that. So just feet stay active to protect the ankle joint. And hold here and release. I think I had one more. Oh, reclined cradle. Yes, reclined cradle. That's a good one. Okay, you're here in Eye of the Needle, and if you wanted to move it into cradle pose, then you would just wrap around your leg. Maybe your other foot stays to the earth and you can hang out like this, because this will give you good balance. Because when you start to straighten through your leg, there's a tendency like, woo, I'm just gonna kind of roll around here. So this will just give you a more stable base if your foot's to the earth, or you can invite students to straighten through their leg. So this is a great way to work on cradle. A lot of times we do cradle standing, but you can also do it from your back. So again, here in Eye of the Needle, and then we move into our cradle pose. Ugh. This side is much tighter than the other. Oh, and then maybe you straighten your leg. And come back and slowly release. Now, if you wanted to get really adventurous, you could go from here, let's say roll back, tap, and then maybe roll up into your one-legged tiptoe pose like we had done in a previous week. And then you could even like move into a pistol squat, lower down, and that could be your sequence. And then maybe you go onto the other side. Let's see if this side wants to do it. So you're here in your Eye of the Needle pose, and then maybe release, roll back to plow, roll forward, and come into your one-legged tiptoe pose here, and then maybe into a pistol squat, lower down, and release. Okay. So those were the ideas that I had for our pose of the week, which was the Eye of the Needle pose. Thank you, Iwa and Eve, for adding some suggestions to have a fabulous weekend. Love and light. Bye.